والذين هم لفروجهم حافظون إلا على أزواجهم أو ما ملكت أيمانهم فإنهم غير ملومين. فمن ابتغى وراء ذلك فأولئك هم العادون. والذين هم لأماناتهم وعهدهم راعون. والذين هم على صلواتهم يحافظون. أولئك هم الوارثون الذين يرثون الفردوس هم فيها خالدون. ولقد خلقنا الإنسان من سلالة من طين ثم جعلناه نطفة في قرار مكين. ثم خلقنا النطفة علقة فخلقنا العلقة مضغة فخلقنا المضغة عظاما فكسونا العظام لحما ثم أنشأناه خلقا آخر فتبارك الله أحسن الخالقين. ثم إنكم بعد ذلك لميتون. ثم إنكم يوم القيامة تبعثون. ولقد خلقنا فوقكم 7 طرائق وما كنا عن الخلق غافلين. وأنزلنا من السماء ماء بقدر فأسكناه في الأرض وإنا على ذهاب به لقادرون. فأنشأنا لكم به جنات من نخيل وأعناب لكم فيها فواكه كثيرة ومنها تأكلون. وشجرة تخرج من طور سيناء تنبت بالدهن وصبغ للآكلين. وإن لكم في الأنعام لعبرة نسقيكم مما في بطونها ولكم فيها منافع كثيرة ومنها تأكلون. وعليها وعلى الفلك تحملون. ولقد أرسلنا نوحا إلى قومه فقال يا قوم اعبدوا الله ما لكم من إله غيره أفلا تتقون. فقال الملأ الذين كفروا من قومه ما هذا إلا بشر مثلكم يريد أن يتفضل عليكم ولو شاء الله لأنزل ملائكة ما سمعنا بهذا في آبائنا الأولين إن هو إلا رجل به جنة فتربصوا به حتى حين. قال رب انصرني بما كذبون. فأوحينا إليه أن اصنع الفلك بأعيننا ووحينا فإذا جاء أمرنا وفارت النور فاسلك فيها من كل زوجين 2 وأهلك إلا من سبق عليه القول منهم ولا تخاطبني في الذين ظلموا إنهم مغرقون. فإذا استويت أنت ومن معك على الفلك فقل الحمد لله الذي نجانا من القوم الظالمين وقل رب أنزلني منزلا مباركا وأنت خير المنزلين. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Thank you for the beautiful recitation. Next up we have Brother Saeed for Farsi poetry, inshallah, with a lot of salawat.
Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. اعوذ بالله من نفسی. بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم و هو العلی العظیم. هو الاول والآخر والظاهر والباطن و هو بكل شیء علیم. صدق الله العلی العظیم. اللهم صل علی محمد و آل محمد و عجل فرجهم باذن الله و رسوله و باذن مولانا امیر المؤمنین. السلام علیک یا فاطمه الزهرا. السلام علیک یا حجت ابن الحسن. صلی الله علیک یا ابا عبدالله. باز کنم راز سه مظلوم را، فاطمه و زینب و معصومه را. فاطمه زن بود ولی نور بود، جلوه حق بود که مستور بود. آی فرستاده ما شاد باش، شاکر منظومه ایجاد باش. ما به تو آینه عطا کرده ایم، کوثر تسکینه عطا کرده ایم. کوثر تو مایه تسکین توست، بعد تو او قائمه دین توست. خلق چو پرسند ز تو کیست او، فاش بگو کوثر جاریست او. هر که دم از آل علی میزند، باده به جام ازلی میزند. جذبه ساقی چو به میخانه زد، قرعه به نام من دیوانه زد. صبر و بلا را به هم آمیختن، در آتش ساغر ما ریختن. جرعه اول که زدم سوختم، آتش و خون از جگر افروختم. سینه من سوخته سینه ایست، شعله خاکستر آینه ایست. سینه زهرا تب توحید داشت، کان شرف شیره خورشید داشت. شیر نبود آنچه در این سینه بود، شربتی از کوثر آینه بود. فاطمه آینه حیدر نماست، فاش بگو فاطمه شیر خداست. فاطمه آینه حیدر نماست، فاش بگو فاطمه شیر خداست. آینه در آینه تکثیر شد، آینه خندید و جهانگیر شد. فاطمه خود کیست نمود علی، کیست علی فاطمه منجلی. فاطمه خود کیست نمود علی، کیست علی فاطمه منجلی. السلام علیک یا اهل بیت النبوة، ذکرکم فی الذاکرین، ارواحکم فی الارواح و اسماءکم فی الاسماء. اللهم صل علی فاطمه و ابیها و بعلها و بنیها و سر المستودع فیها بعدد ما احاط بهی علمک. فرج آقای امام زمان صلوات.
Jazakumullah khair, Brother Saeed, and thank you for, as always, adding the colors and languages to our morning of Ahl Bayt. Next up, and again for the third night here, alhamdulillah, we are blessed with the teachings and guidance of Sheikh Abbas Mirza. He's going to be here with us for a couple more days, so let us focus and benefit from his teachings. With 3 loud salawats, please invite Sheikh Maulana Abbas Mirza to the minbar, inshallah.
رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين الصراط المستقيم الصراط الذين غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله أوله بلا أول كان قبله وآخره بلا آخر يكون بعده الذي قصرت عن رؤيته أبصار الناظرين وعجزت عن نعته أوهام الواصفين ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا حبيبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين ولعنة الدائم على أعدائهم وغاصب حقوقهم ومنكر فضائلهم ومناقبهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين أما بعد قال الله الحكيم في موكمه الكتابه المجيد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانهر إن شانئك هو الأبتر صدق الله العلي العظيم. In the continuation of the discussion of the station of Siddiqa Kubra Salamullah Alayha, the maqam and the manzilat of Siddiqa Salamullah Alayha, tonight is our third night of discussion. Indeed, these nights are special nights to reflect upon the personality of her, and that's what we are trying to some degree. Not to mention to remember the sermon of her, which is Khutbah Fadakiyya, which we still have to look into it, inshallah, perhaps tomorrow or the day after, 2 nights that are left. This sermon is so unique and quite shocking and surprising for somebody who is unaware of her personality, of who she was. Especially, for example, if we come outside the imani and the prior knowledge that we have in regards to her, and then look at it, that a woman at the age of 18, right after the demise of her father, within 75 or 95, 3 months period, she goes to the courtyard of the Khalifa of the time, and she gives a long sermon, and a sermon that contains within it deep, fascinating knowledge, discipline. There are like 21 verses that she uses in the khutbah, and she does tafsir of these 21 verses. There are 20 different ahkam that she speaks about: amar bil maruf, jihad, zakat, siyam, fasting, justice, selling products with sincerity, not cheating. All of these detailed things that she speaks about, and she points out to what will happen if you don't do this. For example, if you don't give zakat, the risk of yours will be lessened. If you don't do jihad, the honor of the Muslimin will be lessened. So it is really fascinating that a lady comes in and addressing the people who are in charge, people who are the leaders of the Muslim Ummah. And apart from that, the in-depth, philosophical, mystical sciences or discipline that contains within it. For example, she talks about that Rasulullah was somebody who was already chosen by the Prophet even before he was sent to this dunya, in that world of spirits. This is a very core Shi'i esoteric reality, which our children, which our youth must understand. Like as we said, not just believing in Islam is sufficient enough. Believing in Islam with certainty, and proving Islam to be the true religion. That is what is needed. When you talk about Islam, and obviously you have the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Without Ahlul Bayt, Islam is, we are seeing what type of Islam to even today. It's Islam Nabi Muhammadi Islam, that Islam which was brought by the Prophet and protected by the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. So she talks about that, and that's a very core belief, that the first thing God created is the Muhammadan light, and everything is created from the Nur Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. This is not a ghulu or a exaggeration out of malangi love or out of this and that and the other, but this is the khutbah fadakiyah of the daughter of the Prophet, which is authentic, which is from Hassan al-Musanna, which is from Imam Hussein, from Imam Hassan, from Zainab al-Kubra, from Zainul Abidin, which is from Aisha, which is from Ibn Abbas, which is from Ibn Hajar al-Makki, and many other sources that we have. Then she talks about imamat and how imamat is important, and in which she says that she says my father. Nobody can dare saying that, because there is a hukm, that is an ayah of the Quran, that don't call the Prophet with the name, address him as Rasulullah. And she would address the father as Rasulullah. Then the father said, Zahra, it's not for you, I'm your Baba, call me Baba. Wa Abi, she says, my father Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. No one have ever addressed that way the way she has addressed. Is at a time where, few years back they used to bury the daughters alive. It is at a time where the Arab male supremacy that we see even today, that same jahiliyyah, the ignorant, exist among the Middle Eastern or Eastern culture and value, that system that they have. Even after Islam coming in and speaking about the rights of women and whatnot, still we see the amount of zulm and atrocities that goes over there. Because Islam has not entered their heart. When they say we are Mu'min, say no, you don't have Iman. Just say you're Muslim, Alu Aslamna. And all of these, fights and killing each other that we see in many of this, Afghanistan and whatnot, this goes back to even before Islam. These atrocities and zulm that even before they brought Islam, they were fighting with each other. The shamans, the Syrians with the Iraqis, and this is before Islam they used to fight as well. It's just now because they have all become Muslim, they say we are Muslim, but these are deep-rooted. It should be analyzed, history should be analyzed while including that perspective as well. The argument of Huntington, the clash of civilization, isn't it so? Right? The theory that he presents in regards to the world situation that we have in regards to the clash, it's a clash of civilization, the Persians with the Greeks, for example. Nevertheless, not to include or not to, understand in the truth and reality is that the Greek knowledge was advanced by the Persians and protected and preserved by the Persians, and there's no such thing as the Greeks and the Persians. So she, at that age, walked to the Masjid al-Nabawi as soon as she was informed that the fadak was taken away. And she speaks in front of many people in the masjid of the Prophet. Abu Bakr was sitting there, Umar was sitting there, and she addresses them. The same way as the sword of Ali is Qasimun Nar wal Jannah, the kalam of Fatima is Qasimun Nar wal Jannah. It discerns, it provides that clarity. And so much, as we said, have been spent and is spent in order to not remember the name of Fatima and not remember this khutbah of Fatima. But it is there. And remained, because the Masumin have paid attention to this khutbah. They have made sure that this khutbah was memorized the same way as the Quran is memorized. Because there's so much in it. There's so much in it. And it's a pretty long khutbah as well, like say 2 pages, 2.5 pages. But very beautiful. So inshallah, maybe tomorrow and the day after, we may take few points out of it and try to reflect a bit more that how deep this khutbah is, in terms of its knowledge. Inshallah. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The reason why this khutbah is that powerful, knowledgeable, is because of her status. A knowledgeable pen writes book of knowledge. A knowledgeable person gives speech or give talks based on the knowledge that the person have. So a lady who was at that age where, leave aside women, men are deprived of education, because in Arabs they were not educated. And when it comes to aflakiyat, when it comes to disciplines of the science, different sciences that is there, but she speaks about it. And this afternoon I was mentioning about Marhum Kulaini in Usul Kafi says that there is a khutbah in Nahjul Balagha in regards to the existence of Allah. In the footnote, Marhum Kulaini mentions that if all the jinn and men put together, and if they were never sent a prophet, they will never be able to match this one khutbah of Amirul Mu'mineen. Centuries after, Sadruddin Shirazi, known as Mullah Sadra, he says that this khutbah of Amirul Mu'mineen is 35 years after the khutbah of Siddiqa Kubra, khutbah of Fadakiyya. Certain things that people have focused and understood in regards to Tawheed was already resolved by Siddiqa Kubra 35 years before in that khutbah. It's a very philosophical point, and I would try to just highlight that here. However, the topic was not that we can try to get into that, but still I will highlight it and we'll continue tomorrow. For example, it talks about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who have created the ashya from nothing. Khalq al-ashya, He has created the ashya, the things, the creation, not from, anything. Now, this goes against the philosophical concept or understanding that it is not possible, it is impossible to create something from nothing. It's not possible. You cannot create anything from nothing. It's impossibility. The day we were speaking about the impossibilities, like for example, I say that this wall is white and black at the same time. It is impossible. Either the wall is white or black. It cannot be white and black at the same time. So creating something from nothing is impossibility. You cannot create from nothing. It is impossible, and Allah doesn't do things which are impossible. It's like the camel and the eye of the needle, the famous, example that the eye of the needle should not become bigger, but the camel should pass through. That's an impossibility. So, in the khutbah, which points out to that, the ashya, the creation have been created out of nothing, but the question is of understanding how it is laid, and how Siddiqa Kubra Salamullah alayha mentions that in the khutbah. If you help me with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Thank you very much. Thank you. She talks about the creation which does not, or for example, if we say that, okay, Allah created from something. Now this means that there was something already, and with the support of something, Allah have created it. This will limit Allah as well. That Allah depended on something to be there from which Allah created. Or there was nothing from which Allah created, which means it's not impossible from nothing to be there. So there was something from, Allah used that something to create to create the creation. So that also limits Allah. In both cases, there's a limitation in regards to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the way she lays it here in the khutbah is very fascinating. That she says that, Allah created without being in need of any model or any form. And then she created in the form that the existence come from His wujud. Because Allah was there, He's azali and abadi, and He was always there. So where does this creation really comes from? He put it in a fashion which I'll point it out, tomorrow inshallah, that he iqtira. It's like, for example, when I say, a school bus, as soon as I say school bus, it comes in your mind. But for us, you and I, we should know what a school bus is, and then we should have that capacity to bring that. But it's coming from us. But there was a model outside of a school bus. Because of that, it's coming to our mind what the school bus is. I'm conceptualizing it. I have understood the concept of bus and a school, putting together, and it's coming. Because that was there before. But in the case of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not the case. There wasn't any model of the dunya as such that Allah created this creation in this fashion. No. Yes, for the school bus, it's coming from inside, but because of certain model that was there. Because of something was there outside because of that. But within the case of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not like that. He just brings it out, the creation. It's like a reflection, it's like a tajalli. When you see yourself in the mirror, how it's there, it just comes, the mirror, like the mirror, when you go in front of it. And the creation also becomes that. As there's a very beautiful Persian poetry which says that when you see yourself in the mirror, that is you but not you. The whole creation is Allah, but not Allah at the same time. Right? So, very, subtle, philosophical, mystical realities are hidden in the khutbah. Fascinating. Inshallah, we'll try to reflect a bit more. We will not be able to obviously finish the whole khutbah, but still we'll do that. The reason for it being, I was mentioning about that, is because that her personality, her knowledgeable personality, was that could give a sermon like that, in terms of her ilm, in terms of her knowledge. She was par to the Quran. That's why I recited Inna Ataynaka al-Kawsar Fasalli li Rabbika wanhar. This is before Fatima was born. Prophet was asked to fast for 40 days and worship for 40 days and to be away from Khadija for 40 days. And on the 40th, Prophet was called to Miraj. After that ibadat, after that worship, after those time meditating, fasting, eventually Prophet was called. And Prophet went, وَقَانَ قَابَ قَوْسَيْنَ وَأَدْنَى. to that closeness that he went. The distance between Allah and the Prophet. And Prophet was offered food in Jannah. And after which the Prophet was asked that you go back to Khadija and meet Khadija and give my salam to Khadija. And after which the Prophet returns. And they were together. After 40 days, they were together. By which Fatima was born. We always tend to shy away when it comes to intimate relationship between male and female, which is part and parcel of our reality. It's a taboo, unfortunately. When it comes to the Prophet and Masumin alayhi salam, who engaged, and their actions are nothing but the reflection and manifestation of metaphysical realities. That's why when it comes to Imam al-Asin in Surah in Ziyarat Ali Yasin, what do we say? Salam on your ruku, salam on your sajda, salam on your qiyam, salam on you in every state that you are. And having that intimate relationship is part of a state. Qul inna salati wa nusuki wa mamati wa mahyaya lillahi rabbil alamin. Everything is for Allah, for them. But because of certain Christian Western influences upon the Muslim sort of arena, we tend not to discuss that. We tend not to be shy away from it. But it is part and parcel of human nature, human reality, humanity, and also beyond that, it is a divine act. It is a completion of humanity. Many of the Far Eastern religions tend to have that phenomena being reflected in the form of yin and yang. The male and female, the yin and yang, it's a completion, it's a perfection. The Jalal and Jamal together brings the new creation. Because insan have come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is the one who is the Khaliq. And Allah is who? Allah is the one who have Jalal, Allah is the one who have Jamal, which brings about the creation. The manifestation of the Jalal of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth is man. The manifestation of the Jamal of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth is women. When they mate, creation happens. Male reflects Allah in female, and female reflects Allah in male. They appreciate each other in that fashion. Because I cannot reflect in myself. I have to have a partner. I have to look at someone for that. So the activity which is in regards to intimate relationship of the Prophet or Ayyam or human beings is nothing but very divine cycle and practice, which is undiscussed, which is taboo, which is not regarded. In Far Eastern religions, for example, the ibadat, which they regarded as the tantric yoga, they call it tantric yoga, they call it yoga as an ibadat, which is divine, which is a divine practice. Why is it the divine practice? Because it's a relationship which is ordained by God, and it should be performed in certain fashion. We do see that in Islamic teachings, for example, and few things are known, which once again emphasizes in regards to children, and this will happen or that will happen, just to scare them away. But there's something much deeper than that. That's why the Prophet says, from this dunya, I like three things: the perfume, salat, which is qurratu ayn, which is once again spiritual activity. Prayer is spiritual. Then it's perfume, which is a bit of a more subtle reality, because something that is connected to the spiritual realm is the fragrance. Is the fragrance that connects, which because it's not physical. So you have the salat, and then you have the perfume, which is the fragrance. And then if it comes down more, it is the woman, which is latif. And that's why Rasul says that from this world I like these three things. Because these are the three things which becomes the medium and vehicle for me to connect to God. It is through these three things I connect to God. I connect to Allah through my salat. I connect to Allah through the fragrance and through the woman. So Fatima is the only daughter of the Prophet. Inna ataynaka al-kawthar. So in terms of the Quran, which descends from the heaven and becomes the book within 23 years, very similarly Fatima descends from the heaven. And when Prophet kisses Fatima, says, I remember that fruit which was given to me, because you smell like that, your fragrance is like that. And at the same time, O Fatima, you are Kawthar. Inna ataynaka al-kawthar. As the Surah Kawthar descended, right after that Fatima came to this dunya. So she is the power to the Quran. Because we know that inni tarikum fikum muttaqin kitab Allah wa itrati, isn't it? Sometimes the actions of Ahl Bayt becomes the Quran. When Ali gives the ruku in the Quran, the ayah comes. When Fatima gives to the asir, to the yatim, to a displaced foreigner, that becomes Surah Dahar. So sometimes the Quran is nothing but the actions of Ahl Bayt. And in the actions of Ahl Bayt, the Quran is seen. Whatever they do is nothing but the Quran. So Fatima, the same way as the Quran is, Fatima is like that. In terms of the ilmi aspect, is the same. In terms of the knowledge that she has. As it took 23 years for the completion of the Quran, and Quran finished when Prophet left, the same way Fatima also finished when Prophet left. It took that 23 years. It took that same gradual descent. And when she reaches Al-Yawm Akmaltu Lakum Dinakum, the Quran finish. And when she says Labbaik to Al-Yawm Akmaltu Lakum Dinakum, she also was sacrificed. She also was killed because of that very reason, for protecting that Kamal of Deen, which is the wilayat of Amirul Mu'mineen. Quran is eternal. It's an eternal book. The life and the existence of Fatima Zahra have the same echo of this reality of the Quran, that she is for eternity. That's why it says that, she will not enter paradise until all of the lovers of Fatima enters paradise. She will take them, and for that eternity. So a person or an individual who have that knowledge, that ma'rifat and knowledge and understanding in terms of the maqam ilmi, that person, that individual also becomes masoom. Quran is masoom. It's faultless. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابِ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. There's no aib, there's no limitation, there's no fault in the Quran. It's considered as masoom. The same way Fatima is considered as masoom. As we said last night, that the condition for being a masoom is not being Imam or Rasul. Yes, we believe, as she believes, is that she theological belief is that the prophets and the imams, they are infallible, they are masoom. Unlike how there is Sunni belief that they don't believe the prophets to be masoom, infallible. There are different understanding in regards to the ismat, in regards to the infallibility among the Ahl Sunnah. Some say that the prophets are capable of doing greater sins as well, gunahane kabira. They can do it. Some say no, they don't do great sins, but they do minor sins, possible. Some believe that. Some believe that no, they don't do greater sins or minor sins, but they are negligence, they are forgetful, and they commit both of them, one of them, both of them. But the Shi'i belief is that no, they are masoom. They don't commit sins at all, whether that be greater sins or minor sins. The possibility of mistake and error is possible for the prophets. That's why, for example, when Yusuf interprets the dream and he says, you will be the cook. When you become the cook of the king, remember me. Then Allah says to Yusuf, what do you mean? You think the freedom of for you from the prison is because of that cook? No, it is Allah's. So that is an error. It's not a sin, na'udhu billah. He has become ghafil of. That's why Prophet Yunus alayhi salam for 40 nights, La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu mina zalimeen. So within the Masumin alayhi salam, when it comes to ismat, there are different levels of that. And Fatima is the ismat kubra, is the mother of infallibility. Because like we said, she contains within her the nur of risalat and the nur of wilayat, of imamat, that is in her. Which means that she is the mother of the infallibility of Anbiya and also the mother of infallibility of wilayat as well. The highest level that one can comprehend and imagine. The light passes through her. That's why when we recite the ziyarat every night, our brother recites, may Allah bless him, he says, imtihanaki qabla an yakhluqa. Allah have tested you even before you were born in that realms of lights. And you are the best. And you are the sabir, you are the patient one. So the ismat and the infallibility, just where the Quran is infallible, she is also masoom. And as being masoom, which means she is far away from errors and mistakes. And what she says is precise. That's why that becomes Sahifa Fatima, the book of Fatima, which is with the 12th Imam. Within this 75 or 95 days that she lived, Jibreel attended her. Who is Jibreel? Musa cannot see Jibreel. He is so powerful. Musa does not have that strength to see Jibreel. Allah spoke to Musa through the bush. It requires Alam nashra laka sadrak wa wadana anka wizraka alladhi anqadha dhahrak. It requires that sadr, it requires that heart of Rasul which was expanded. Then Iqra happened. Then Prophet was able to see Jibreel. But Jibreel came in the service of Fatima for 75 days or 95 days after, and mentioned to her what had happened in the past and what will happen in the future till the day of judgment. And Ali wrote the Mus'haf of Fatima. That's why one of the title of Amirul Mu'mineen is considered to be the writer of two books, which is the Quran and the Mus'haf of Fatima. And the Masumeen, the Ahl Bayt, the Imams, when a question was asked to them, they would say, wait, let me go check what is in the Mus'haf of Fatima and I will give you the answer. They will go to the book of Zahra and will answer from that book. One of the proofs that the 12th Imam will provide is that this book of Mus'haf of Fatima, which is with him. So she is, why we have that Musaf Fatima, why that is 100% accurate when she says something? Because it becomes hujjat. It becomes proof. And why it becomes, what is hujjat? Hujjat means that it is from Allah, that it should be performed this way. Because many of there are many riwayat or hadiths from the Masumeen that are not in the Quran, or even Rasulullah haven't mentioned it, but the Imams have mentioned it. As the Imam have mentioned it, it becomes hujjat. It is as if it is coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It becomes wajib or haram or mustab or makruh, whatever. If it comes from an Imam Masum. The same applies for Siddiqa Kubra, for Fatimah Zahra. Because she is infallible. And she has that ilm and knowledge, which is directly from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is the highest form of knowledge, which we kind of pointed out this afternoon, where we spoke about ilm huzuri and ilm husuli. The highest knowledge is ilm huzuri, which means knowledge by presence. Ilm husuli is that you acquire. We acquire the knowledge. We learn about it. Gradually we learn about it. But knowledge by presence is directly from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by our heart. And we have that aspect. Zulm is bad. If I hit a child for no reason, or even, for example, if I hit a child, you say, no, this is not good. And I don't need to go to a university or a college to know that this is wrong. Naturally, I know it is wrong. From my huzur, by my presence, from my presence, I know it is wrong. It is not right. I don't need to be taught that. That's my huzur, which is the highest form of knowledge, which comes directly from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why when Zainab Kubra says that Ma ra'aytu illa jamila, I saw nothing but in beauty in the plain of Karbala, that statement reflects that ilm huzuri. That's why the fourth Imam says, Anti alimat wa bila muallima. Anti alima, without muallim. You are a knowledgeable one without being taught by any, teacher. Because your ilm, O Amme, your ilm, O Zainab, is directly from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why, Prophet is known as Ummi. Prophet never had a teacher, because his knowledge was direct from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nobody taught the Prophet. Right? And that's why they say Ummi, meaning that, he never saw a conventional education system as such, that he was taught by anybody, by any teacher. Yes, he wasn't, but, he is the Akmalul Anbiya. He is the most perfect of the perfect. He is the most knowledgeable one, because his knowledge comes directly from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Siddiqa Kubra's knowledge that she has, that's why she is muhaddisa. It comes directly from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is clearly reflected when we analyze the khutbah fadakiyya or other narrations that we have, or what the Imams have mentioned in regards to her, what the Prophet have mentioned in regards to her. Like last night we were talking about the cosmological, we had the cosmological argument which we presented, to reflect that her position in regards to the mulk, malakut and Jabarut, who she is and how she is. Right? And on the first night, if you may recollect, we a little bit touched on Ismat and Hujjat, and we said that we're going to talk about Hujjat and Ismat. And tonight, we spoke about that Hujjat. Hujjat is the proof from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hujjat is the condition, the reason for something becoming Hujjat, and a proof is Ismat. A Hujjat cannot be without Ismat, without infallibility. A Hujjat must be infallible. A Hujjat, a proof, must be infallible, because on the day of judgment, na'udhu if the Prophet makes a mistake, or the Imam makes a mistake, then we'll say that, the Imam made a mistake, it's not my problem, it's not my fault. I saw the Prophet, I did this. Na'udhu some of their books, says that Prophet used to stand up and urinate. Oh, Prophet used to do that. If I'm doing, so what? Right? No. What type of hujjat is this which makes mistake? And when you are saying that Prophet is not infallible, what is the proof that he is not lying? Because lying is bigger sin. You know, it's a sin to lie. Now what's the proof that? That's why he is ma'soom. If he is ma'soom, if whoever is ma'soom, that means that is hujjat. That is a proof. So Fatima is hujjat. And the 11th Imam says that we are hujjat for the creation. And Fatima is hujjat for us. So in terms of the gradation, the Imams are hujjat for us. And for Imams, the hujjat is Fatima. She's that divine proof from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the Imams themselves as well, which points out to the highest status and stature of her, which makes us understand this Lola Fatima is what? Lama khalaqtukuma. If it wasn't for Fatima, both of them. Because that she is that Ismat Kubra. She is that irada and mashiyah of ilahiyah. Right? And when she is that, and from her if creation comes, which points out to her reality of being Batul, that she have given birth as being the mother, as being the nature of the whole creation without anything. As in, having sort of a partner, she has given that, but she is Batul in terms of the spiritual realm, not in the physical realm. She is Batul in that realm. Hur al-Insiya, she is the Huri, she is the, heavenly woman, but in a form of a human form on this earth. All of these titles points out to her special status, special maqam and station, which she has acquired, which she has gained. Zahra. Why she becomes Zahra? Because she stands in worship and her mihrab illuminates for the people in heaven. That's why she is called as Zahra. With all of this maqam and station that she has, we find that, she suffered. She was attacked. She was not respected. Her honor was taken by saying that we don't accept what you're saying, because she claimed fadak. And she says this was the gift. And they said, the Khulafa said, well, this is Baytul Mal, we're not going to give you. Right? She was denied the right. And this is very heart-rendering. This is very sad. That the only daughter of the Prophet presenting the case, but she was rejected. Allama Amini in Ghadir and in other books, we find that there are certain riwayat which makes us not even mentioning it, because one will shy away to mention this riwayat in regards to, or the amount of atrocities and the zulm that the ashab of the Prophet have done. The same way as Zainab Kubra shakes the foundations and brings the structure or the building or whatever you want to call by her khutbat of the Umayyun. She brings down the dynasty, the kingship, the khilafat of the Umayyads. She unveils them. Who is the Umayyads? Who is Abu Sufyan? Who is Yazid? Who is the same way Fatima shakes the sanctity of the school or the institution of khilafat. Even if they want to call it Khilafat Rashidun. She shakes that. She brings that institution down and unveils what is haqq and what is batil very clearly. based on their own books, that Fatima never saw the first and the second. Even they requested and they came and they took Ali as an interceder. Go, please request Fatima too, so that she meets us. Fatima said, no, I'm not going to see both of them. She rejected them because they were fully aware that the ghazab of Fatima was ghazab Allah, no matter what. That's why they requested Hassan and Hussein, please write, and so that we put this in the grave, give us something so that they are protected or saved. But still no. Allahumma lan awwala zaliman zalama haqqa Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Why do we recite that? Who were the one who did the first of zulm on Muhammad wa ali Muhammad? Where did it all started? It was not Karbala, which is the maqtal of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, the qatlgah of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. The qatlgah of Imam Hussein alayhi salam is actually the door of Fatima, is actually the house of Fatima. That's where it began. They say that people tend to say, why Ali alayhi salam sent Fatima to the door while sitting in the house? It doesn't make sense. But the reports points out to that, no, Ali did not send Fatima to the door. Right after Saqifa, when they came to the house by making the noises and whatnot, by terrifying, Fatima quickly closed the door. And when Fatima closed the door, and she never imagined, and no one can ever imagine, that anybody will enter the house of Fatima without permission, where Rasulullah would give salams, and people were fully aware of that Rasulullah, before entering the house, he used to give salam at the door of Fatima and enter after that. And you have people who decided somebody to be the leader, and in order that to have that allegiance, and they were aware of that, to have that allegiance is so important for them, they came to the door, and Fatima was there, and she quickly closes the door. And when she quickly closes the door, they asked Ali to come out. And Fatima was the protector of wilayat and imamat. Then she knew what will happen. Nobody was there to protect Ali alayhi salam. Only you can count them on fingers. But Fatima thought that maybe they will have some raham, some mercy, because it's a lady, it's a girl, it's a daughter of the Prophet. Maybe they will not disrespect, at least. But no, they burned the door of Fatima. And when they burned the door of Fatima, they did not stop here. They kicked the door of Fatima. The burning door falls on Fatima salamullah alayha. The narratives reports that that's where she lost Mohsin. If Mohsin was not lost there, Ali Asghar wouldn't have been killed in Karbala. Because Mohsin was lost at that time. And the first thing she says that, oh my father. And then she falls on the ground. And they entered the house. And they put Ali alayhi salam under the rope and pull Ali alayhi salam out. The sermon of Nahjul Balagha, the sermon of Shaqshaqiyya, which is the same sermon, echoes the sermon of Fadakiyya of Fatima. The letter of Imam Ali alayhi salam in Nahjul Balagha, which he replies to Muawiyah, in which Muawiyah says, have you forgotten perhaps that how we pulled you out of the door? Ali alayhi salam says that I remember, yes, you pulled me out, but this was not an honor of you, but this was the honor of me that I was patient. And this is how you behave and treated the son-in-law, the companion of the Prophet, for whom وَأَنفُسَنَا وَأَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَبْنَانَا وَأَبْنَاكُمْ وَنِسَانَا وَنِسَاءَكُمْ. That's what it is. The Ahl Bayt are that. And look what you have done. So here Fatima, when that burning door falls on the ground, first thing she says that, Ya Abba, oh my father, And she wants to get up because she is seeing that Ali is being pulled out. At that hour she calls, Ya Mahdi. Because it's the Sahifa Fatima we are talking about. She is fully aware who will be the one who will avenge the blood of Mohsin and the blood of Hussein. It is Mahdi. She calls for help, Ya Mahdi. And they said, oh Fizza, come and help me. And as she was helped by Fizza and she sees that they have taken Ali, she runs towards Masjid al-Nabawi. As they say, the blood was coming out from her chest because there was the nail which was in the door that fall on Fatima, and that nail pierced the chest of Fatima salamullah alayhi. And then she falls on the ground while running and she crawls to Masjid al-Nabawi. As she goes to Masjid al-Nabawi and sees that they have placed the sword on the neck of Ali and asking to pay allegiance. And here she says that if you don't leave Ali, I'm going to call the curse of Allah on this earth. And Amir al-Mu'mineen says, and the people says that we saw the walls of Medina shaking. And Ali says, Fatima, don't. The pain that your father have taken, the message that your father have delivered will not remain. He is rahmatul lil alameen. He is a mercy to mankind. Fatima, don't. And she stops. And the atrocities and the zulm doesn't end here. Right after that, they take away Fadaf. And it affected her so much that she leaves the house to claim that Fadak. And the first Khalifa gave the sanad, gave in writing. Allah Amini's riwayat I'm bringing here. And then she was happy and she takes that sanad. And she was going back home. And while she was going back home with Imam Hassan, it says, and somebody met, which is the second, he pulls that sanad and tears it in front of her. And not only that, I don't know how I will read this, that they have slapped Fatima salamullah alayha. And that is why it's been mentioned, now I finish my Masaib, that in Karbala there was a girl who resembled Fatima, and that was Sakina, because Sakina also had so many slaps on her face. They have slapped her so much, they have hurt her so much, because when Sakina was lost in the desert, and the caravan was not moving forward, and Hussein had mentioned Sakina that when you are in trouble, do the zikr of Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, and she was left alone in the desert, and she started doing the zikr of Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra. She finds a lady approaching her, and then this lady when approached to her, and then this lady sees the face of this lady, and she says, who are you? He says, I am your grandmother, I am Fatima. Then she says that now I understand why they say that you resemble me, because you have the marks of slap on your face. Allah lanatullah ala qawm al-zalimin sayalamu alladhina zalamu ayyam munqalibin yanqalibun بفاطمة وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها وسر المستودع فيها بعدد ما أحاط به الملك بمولاتي فاطمة الزهراء سلام الله عليها. يا الله 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 يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك يا قاضي الحاجات يا كافي المهمات إنك على كل شيء قدير. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج وجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره والمستشهدين بين يديه ماتم حسين يا
हाय गम में तेरे जाती रही बिना अली की तेरी तन्हाई है तन्हाई अली की
हाय ज़हरा तेरी तन्हाई है, तन्हाई अली की, हाय ज़हरा तेरी तन्हाई है, तन्हाई अली की, हाय गम में तेरे जाती रही बिनाई अली की, तेरी तन्हाई है, तन्हाई अली की, हाय ज़हरा तेरी तन्हाई है, तन्हाई अली की, दरबार में जालिम के गई बिन्ते पैगंबर, क्या बात था कुछ कहना सका फातर खबर, हाय हंसते रहे गुर्बत पे तमाशाई अली की, तेरी तन्हाई है, तन्हाई अली की, हाय ज़हरा तेरी तन्हाई है, तन्हाई अली की, पैगाम विलायत लिए घर घर गई ज़हरा, शोहर के लिए ढालती जब तक रही जिंदा, हाय दुनिया को बताती रही सच्चाई अली की, तेरी तन्हाई है, तन्हाई अली की, हाय ज़हरा तेरी तन्हाई है, तन्हाई अली की, कहते थे अली ज़हरा से क्या हाल है बीबी, अब हमें को सलाम के भी करता नहीं कोई, हाय ग़ैबाद नबी कैसी पजीराई अली की, तेरी तन्हाई है, तन्हाई अली की, हाय ज़हरा तेरी तन्हाई है, तन्हाई अली की, दर जलता हुआ फातिमा ज़हरा पे गिराया, मोहसिन की शहादत का सबब बन गई दुनिया, हाय तस्वीर मुकम्मल नहीं हो पाई अली की, तेरी तन्हाई है, तन्हाई अली की, हाय ज़हरा तेरी तन्हाई है, तन्हाई अली की,
Fatimiyya is the time of Azah. Fatimiyya is the time of Azah for the martyrdom of Fatima, the crushing of the mother of Sadat by the shameless people of Medina. Fatimiyya is the time of Azah for the martyrdom of Fatima, the crushing of the mother of Sadat by the shameless people of Medina. Ya Fatima, 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 Ya Fatima. Fatimiyya is the death of Muhsin, the time to remember again. They call Rasulullah a crazy man when he asked for paper and pen. The loneliness of Murtaza and the qurbat of Mushtaba, the martyrdom in Karbala, all started in Fatimiyya. Ya Fatima, Ya Fatima. Ya Fatima, Ya Fatima. Ya Fatima, Ya Fatima. Fatimiyya is the death of Ali, star loneliness of Ali. The moment he buried his Fatima was the hardest night for Ali. Fatimiyya is the death of Mujtaba. He was lonely like Murtaza. They even shot arrows at his coffin. What a sad burial in Medina. The loneliness of Murtaza and the qurbat of Mujtaba. The martyrdom in Karbala all started in Fatimiyya. Ya Fatima, Ya Fatima. Ya Fatima, Ya Fatima. Fatimiyya is the cause of Karbala, the beheading of Abdullah. If the burial of Hassan was sad, think of the burial in Karbala. The body of Hussein and Fatima was cut into pieces in Karbala, with thirsty lips without a new kafan. He was left on the plain of Nineveh. The loneliness of Murtaza and the qurbat of Mujtaba, the martyrdom in Karbala, all started in Fatimiyya. Ya Fatima, Ya Fatima. 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 Ya Fatima. Ya Fatima, Ya Fatima. در بین آن دیوار و در یا رب شده محشر بفا. بهر حمایت از علی زهرا شده جانش فدا. آتش زبان می کشد از خانه خیران نسا. پرپر شده در پشت در ریحانه خیران نسا. یا فاطمه، یا فاطمه. Ya Fatima, Ya Fatima, everyone. Ya Fatima, Ya Fatima. 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 Salawat.